My name is Michael Johnson, and since 1981, I've been married to my lovely wife, Sarah. We met our freshman year in college and were married right before our senior year, and it was during that year in our little apartment that I really began to develop a love affair with cooking. I love good restaurants. I like to watch the way a kitchen puts together a fine meal, and I love nothing more than preparing a meal to share with my friends. In fact, my friends and my family are very important to me. I love good food, I love good stories, and I hope this show will combine a little bit of all of that. So one of the things that I loved about growing up in Oklahoma was a hamburger, and really it seems to be unique in many respects to Oklahoma, the onion fried burger. And so here's everything we're going to need: ground beef, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle, ketchup, mustard. So the first thing we got to do is get the patties put together, and I'm going to divide this roughly 1 pound of hamburger meat into fours. And so you take the ground beef. It's not rocket science, but you want to make them into not a completely tight ball, but kind of squeezing them together and then rolling them in. You can put them together in that ball and get them ready, because eventually we're going to smash these pretty tight down to the griddle. Okay, so there are the patties rolled up into a ball, and then I'm going to place some wax paper here and show you how I'm going to flatten those out for proper grilling. Here's one of my handy little 6-inch cast iron skillets, and we're just going to individually press down on each of these little balls of ground beef, and we're going to flatten them out to a very nice consistency. How about that? Oh, they look great. That'll be just perfect. I'll cook 2 of them and put 2 of them in the freezer for a later time. The way the hamburger gets put together, the taste is actually augmented by the way all of the different items within the sandwich are put together and the way they're layered together, and thin is good in this case. So here's what I'm trying to do, and it may be kind of hard to show with this one-man camera operation, but I want a nice thin cut once I get into the onion, and I'm going to hold it steady and come across the onion as I go. I don't know if that's even 1/8 of an inch as we cut across, but this onion will be laid out across the hamburger as it cooks. I always cut the top part of the tomato off and put it aside, and then work into the tomato with very thin slices. I just think it bites better as you get down into the burger itself. You don't want to slice a tomato, in my view, that is almost as thick as the hamburger patty itself. So you can see how thinly here I've cut these tomato slices. No thicker than about 1/8 of an inch. And at least in Oklahoma, the way I saw lettuce served on these onion fried burgers, it was shredded lettuce. It wasn't full-on leaf lettuce. So that's what I'm going to do here as well, and chop that up just a little bit. You get a nice shred, and that'll go well. Fired up the Blackstone griddle here, and we're about ready to get going with the preparation of one of my all-time favorites, Again, the Oklahoma onion fried burger. And there's a little story behind why I love it so much, not just all the number of places that they have out in Oklahoma that do this kind of burger that seems to be pretty unique to the area, but also because there's a little bit of a family connection to what this is all about. So I got to get this griddle ready. It's been sitting outside in the cold for a little over a week now since the last time I used it, and we're ready to cook. Put a nice coating of salt and pepper on the top side of these beautiful ground sirloin patties, smashed thin, and you can hear the sizzle there. We'll add just a little bit of salt and pepper here on top before we put the onions down. But the cooking technique on this is pretty simple, and in reality, we're going to let these fry up on this side. We're going to take these very thinly sliced onions and apply them to the top of each of these patties. They will start to sweat as the ground beef cooks, and then we will flip them here in just a few minutes, and it's going to be fabulous. The only seasoning thus far has been salt and pepper on the ground beef, but I'm going to add just a little bit of Worcestershire sauce over the top of that with the onions, and it will add just a little bit of a different kind of flavor maybe than what they do at Bunny's and Mike's and the J&W Grill and Chickasha and oh boy, yeah, the moment of truth. Can I do it? Slide that spatula underneath. Go big or go home. Oh, look at that sear. That crispy crunchiness there. Nice a little of that beef juice down in. Second. And 1, 2, go. We did it. We did it. It's going to be great. Might want to add just a little bit more oil around the edges for those onions. Yeah, baby. Another place out in El Reno, Oklahoma, called Sid's that was absolutely fantastic. My granddad, Johnson, my dad's father, really loved a good burger at places like that. And so I remember going to and from Anadarko, Oklahoma, depending on whether we went down through Chickasha from the south side of town or if it was from the west side of town where we lived. In Oklahoma City, we would maybe go out I-40 to Highway 81 and turn south at El Reno and head down to Anadarko. We loved places like Sid's and the J&W Grill, and my granddad was great about kind of picking through the chili at one of those places, and he would occasionally get one of these burgers. But where I really learned my love of these onion fried burgers was at the campground, the Nazarene campground in Anadarko, Oklahoma. And somehow my mom and dad were chosen to run a pop stand because in Oklahoma, if you were going to get a Coke, you were going to get a pop, soda pop. Some people call it soda. Some people just generically refer to soft drinks as what kind of Coke do you want? We had Coke and Dr. Pepper and orange and strawberry. And there were no diet drinks back during that day until Tab came along. I think we got Tab there in the soda fountain before it was all over with. But those were great memories. And my dad was the man on the flat top grill in the pop stand. And boy, I watched them work that grill Daddy would be flipping the burgers. My mom would be over there taking them off and putting them into the buns and dressing them out as people made their orders. Great memories there. It was intriguing to me that oftentimes Daddy would have to slip out to go start preparing those burgers. The service would be ending. The evangelist would be making an appeal to people to deal with spiritual things, and I'm pretty sure that people were able to get their prayers prayed in record time because they could smell those hamburgers and onions cooking down at the pop stand just about 100 yards away. Great memories of those times. Oh, that's beautiful. That toasted bun. Lovely. These two could take just another minute or two. Let's put this set up here. Set that one there. And scoop. This is where the one-handed operation makes it difficult. So this is what I wanted you to see, how much those onions cook down. And then you just lay that back down on top. And we'll do the same with the second. So I brought them in off the griddle, put the cheese on top of the patty, and then came in and put it together on top of those grilled onions. I have a layer of shredded lettuce, thinly sliced tomato, some dill pickle chips, mustard and ketchup, and we are about ready to eat. I'll cut that so you can see all of its goodness together. How about that? Oh my word. All right, breaking from tradition just a little bit, because any good Oklahoma-based onion fried burger joint is going to have freshly cut fries. But had to go the utility route, and in fact, trying to, save some calories by using the air fryer. And you're going to drink from a styrofoam cup at almost all of those places, but I'm going to pour a glass of my favorite new 0-calorie drink, Topo Chico mineral water, straight from Mexico, Monterrey, a great city in northern Mexico. I'm ready to eat. Hey, just one other quick note about watching my dad fix those hamburgers down there at the campground in Anadarko, Oklahoma. That was a place where Nazarenes in southwest Oklahoma would gather, many of them for several weeks during the summer, but particularly for about 10 days for what they called camp meeting. Special preaching evangelists and song evangelists would come in. People would attend services sometimes as many as 3 times a day. They were very focused on following after what they believed God wanted to do in their lives to make a difference in the world. And so food evokes memories for me. Sometimes it's just where I ate a good meal. And sometimes, like when I think about Anadarko, it wasn't just that pop stand that my mom and dad were running. It was also the kitchen of the dining hall where I watched Meemaw Johnson, my dad's mom, lead a crew, mostly of ladies, while the men were out working, trying to fix up the campground in advance of the events that would be taking place. Those were formative years for me, and it wasn't just about, learning how people prepared a meal. It was how people prepared their lives to serve others. And although times have changed and that campground no longer belongs to Nazarenes, they've moved up the way to Salyer Lake near Binger, Oklahoma, home of Johnny Bench, the Hall of Fame catcher of the Cincinnati Reds fame. But, I think back to times that made a difference in my life, to the faithful witness of people who were so sincere in their desire to live a life pleasing to God. And so cooking an onion fried burger today was a lot of fun. It reminded me of some neat restaurants, but it also reminded me where I came from and what really is important in the final analysis of things. And I say it a lot via hashtags on social media, but I believe that we're supposed to love God and we're supposed to love people. And I guess it's okay to love food in moderation in the process. Thanks for dropping in today.